Hey listeners, welcome to Chapter 7, titled Eyes Wide Open. In this final chapter of our podcast, we are going to tie up loose ends, talk about our final days at Come As You Are, and what has happened since leaving the cult church.
Faith can feel like hearts and butterflies until someone lights a match and burns it all to the ground. Welcome to the Burning Butterflies podcast.
The sad thing is that there's abuse of every kind within the church. But the spiritual abuse is the stuff that just
It's a place there shouldn't be abuse. Like, there just shouldn't be abuse in a place that claims to.
Well, it ruins your soul. If you're new here, we suggest listening to our prologue episode first. This is the story of two women's journey through toxic church culture and spiritual abuse, all while finding healing in the end.
Sometimes it's just the facts, and if you get offended by it, that's a you issue. And if we can't be mature enough to have these conversations, even if some of the topics are difficult, then shame on us.
I feel like we should kind of preface this that in the last chapter, we had decided to go chronologically.
Yes.
And step by step and month by month and week by week because it was COVID and there was so much that happened. And for us to wrap our brains around it, even like in planning when we first started this podcast, like it was so detailed and there were so many things that like happened so quickly.
Yep.
That's how it worked best in the last chapter. But when we were planning this chapter, we realized that we could loosely stay with the chronological order. I mean, we still are going in order of the way things happened, but we're not staying as tightly held to that. And we did kind of topic a lot of the things that happened. And I did notice there's like a little bit of overlap. Like we're going to kind of like move through the timeline and then maybe have to jump back a little just to catch you back up because we're wrapping up loose ends. So just if you were loving the play-by-play, day-by-day timeline and you were like, this is great, these people have got it down, we're going to shift from that.
We're doing our best to try to keep it in order, but yes, we are wrapping up. We are wrapping up our story. On Sunday, we put out our little mini-sode, kind of our intro to this chapter. So please, go listen to that, and kind of get a glimpse into where we are now as we are going into chapter 7. But when we last left,
yeah,
our intrepid women on this journey to escape Come As You Are, Amanda was called inept.
Yeah.
And I had some big feelings.
We got some thoughts about that one. Thoughts and opinions and feelings, and by golly, you're going to let those out.
And I'm pretty sure I said this in the last episode, but I took that, of all of the shit he had said to me over the years, all of the stuff that cut me to my core, that, I would leave sobbing in my car, that led me to sit on the edge of my bed with a gun in my hand. All of those things, nothing offended me and cut me as deeply as him screaming at me and telling me I was inept.
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, and I think you talked about this in the last episode, or you talked about it on Patreon, was if Barry hadn't come to the church, that I think I agree with you on that, him calling you inept. It wasn't about the word. because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he said pretty much the same thing, maybe even not using that word, before. Like you said, all the things that he's ever said to you, none of them ever cut like that. And it's just crazy to believe that because Barry came to the church and was there, that you had something to compare and contrast to. What? You're like,
That's what I'm like, I'm inept?
what?
This guy?
Wait,
This guy
wait,
gets to
wait.
stand on stage with a microphone and preach the word of God. This guy who has never even read the Old Testament. This guy who is condescending and treats his wife like crap
Yeah.
and is teaching his boys to be like just chauvinistic a-holes like this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm inept?
You're like, you can pull the wool over my eyes, but excuse me?
Sir?
Absolutely not, sir.
Sir, the whole reason you have a church post-COVID is because of me.
Thanks, Amanda. It's so funny because, you made a TikTok how it was my fault.
I know.
Harry and Miss America came to the church in the first place because I came to see my Christmas play. But then I could turn around and be like, thanks, Amanda. Thanks.
And I'm pretty sure when Brandy was on the podcast still, we had mentioned it, but I know her and I had talked about it over the years in person. But all of this time, it's like we felt like God kept trying to burn this to the ground. And we're like, we'll save it. We'll just dump some water on it. We'll just keep saving it. And like, that was me during COVID. Like, God's like, we're just going to let this die right here. Okay, guys, like, we're good. We've had
burn it.
We've had a run. Like, let's just leave it where it's at. Let it die with COVID. And I'm like, no, I will save it.
Yeah, God's asking me to save it, and you're dumping water on it. And he's just like, gosh, I created that one to be stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah. The amount of times God, face palms, like, oh, this kid. Yeah. So I am so mad that I was called inept.
Yeah.
And especially everything that I had done through COVID, everything I have done for this church, and the fact that we are letting Barry, of all people, have any control, authority, or just even the air of authority. I'm sorry, standing on that stage with a microphone, it didn't matter if Tom thought you were the biggest idiot on the planet and he would never let you have a say in anything, but you got to stand on that stage with a microphone. You had the appearance of authority.
Yeah.
The body in general felt like you had authority.
Yeah.
And so I went in ready to, I've tried to quit my job twice. The first time Charlotte cries, the second time, I can't quit. I'm not allowed because I'm just depressed. It's common for women my age. And so I didn't walk in like, I'm quitting my job today. That wasn't my attitude. I walked in like ready to be like, how effing dare you?
Yeah.
Like, that was my
You're like, no, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But for the first time, I guess I shouldn't just say because Barry came to the church, but I mean, here's the cocktail of Barry and COVID, right? Because for the first time, there was nobody at the church. Nobody was doing anything. So it was very obvious that there was one person, right? And if anybody else was doing anything, they were doing it under your guidance and your leadership because you were the one you were the only person running it.
Yeah.
And it was blatantly, without question, obvious.
Yeah. And I guess my feeling was, at that point in time, I still believed, women shouldn't be pastors, but I guess my opinion was, I am doing everything that a leader in this church should be doing, with the exception of preaching. How dare you tell me I'm inept?
Yeah.
I have done everything you have asked me to do. I have turned my life upside down for this place. How dare you? And I went in ready, like, to just be like, who do you think you were talking to when you called me that?
Yeah.
And I don't know, even to this day, I cannot tell you where that came from, because that is a part of myself that I had shoved so deep down, that I hadn't seen that side of myself in decades.
Yeah. But that's what it took. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that is what it took to crack the seal and get to that place.
Yeah.
I really, like, yeah.
Because who I am at my core is that. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best at everything, but I know what I'm good at. And so no. Who do you think you are that you can talk to me like that? Gross. No. And so that's the vibe I walked in there. Like, that was like, I was ready to like have a full-blown arguing match. And I walked in to his office and I closed the door behind myself and I sat down across the table from him, and I'm like, about yesterday. And I think he knew. Like, he knew he said something. And honestly, I don't even think he knew what he said to me, because Tom ran his mouth so much, and I don't think he paid attention to half the stuff that he would say to people.
No, I don't think so either. And his age, let me just tell you, straight from his mouth, he would run his mouth, and the only thing that would stop him if you were a woman was if you cried. If you cried,
Yeah.
you would know that he is. If you're, we had talked about that in a podcast where he would be like, well, you're not crying, so I didn't hurt your feelings. Like, this is the type of people we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he knew something when you were like, we're talking about yesterday.
And even the stuff that he would say to me in the past, I never, I don't want to say it gave him satisfaction, but like, I never gave him that validation. Like, you made me cry.
Right.
Like, I would sit there and I would hold it in and everything. And then I'd,
yeah, I was the same. No, I was the same way. Like, on the worship team and dealing with him, and he would say stuff like, when I first started on the worship, it caught me off guard, and it jarred me, like when I first started on the worship team. But yeah, that was my same thing. It's like, oh, nope, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
I refuse to show you that you got to me.
Yeah. And so I didn't walk in there prepared to cry. Like, I had bawled the day before. Like, that cut me deep.
Yeah.
But
and I
was over it.
I think he did that on purpose so that you as a woman wouldn't cry, so he didn't have to feel guilty.
Yeah.
I think he told those stories about knowing that, like, because he would be, oh man, if a woman cries, like, I would da-da-da-da, but then he would turn around. This was his MO with everything. He would say something in one way and then come back with another way, and he was saying those two things to get you to understand how he wanted you to behave.
Yeah.
And I think when it came to women and crying, and you and I both going to that place of, I'm not going to let you see me cry, like, I think he said the things he said to manipulate us into not crying so that he couldn't feel guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he didn't have to deal with our feelings.
Well, and then at the end of the day, it could just be like, oh, well, they're just, I can't be this way because I say this terrible stuff to these women and they don't cry. So really, am I really that terrible?
Exactly. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think you're right. I think that's a great point. And I wasn't walking in there ready, like, I'm going to sit down and cry. Like, I had cried it all out the night before, and I was like, I'm just pissed off now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just mad, and we're going to talk about it because that was uncalled for. And I never would say that to anyone. And if I were to say that to someone, my ass would be drug in here so fast, and I would be getting the lecture of a lifetime. And so why do you get to say it to me? Like that, I wanted him to be like, that was uncalled for. I didn't expect an apology from him because, I mean, like, let's face it, like, if you get to the position that we were in and you've been around Tom long enough, you know Tom doesn't apologize.
No, but he says this. This is what he would say. And this is not an apology. He would say, if I offended you and you come to me and you tell me, well, if I didn't mean to offend you, I'm going to tell you I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did it on purpose, well then, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he had this whole thing that he would say of like, if you're hurt and you come to me and I didn't do it on purpose, I will tell you that I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if I did it on purpose, I'll still tell you. Then I'll be like, I'll realize that I did something wrong and I'll tell you I'm sorry. And like, because I would go rounds and rounds with Froggy where he'd be like, just go tell my dad. And I'm like, absolutely not. Because why? Because I'm going to be like, you did this. He's going to be like, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Or he's going to be like, I meant to and I'm sorry. Like there was no... And you knew it wasn't it didn't mean anything. Like he was flat out telling you, you could come to me. I'm just going to be like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Or oops, I meant to do that and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not an apology. And then you also knew it was going to come along with a lecture on how it was your fault. So,
well, and that's the thing is, I don't think he ever actually said the words, I'm sorry.
No.
He would start off saying something like, I'm sorry, adjacent.
He
but
would
then
only
like
say it when he would tell you he would say, I'm sorry. He wouldn't actually say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But then you're right. It would end with a lecture of why you're wrong.
Why it was your fault.
And so I was prepared for a lecture, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I want the validation of him to be like, I shouldn't have used that word.
Yeah.
Like, I was fine. He was mad at me. I was fine. He screamed at me, like, whatever.
Right.
Any given Tuesday, right? Like, that didn't bother me. Like, was I embarrassed it happened in front of a bunch of people? Yeah. But honestly, in the grand scheme of things, everyone's like, oh, it's Amanda's turn to get screamed at today. Like, I mean, it was, everyone had a turn, and you just kind of was like, oh, that sucks for them today.
It wasn't you.
Yep, that sucks for Amanda today, but at least he didn't scream at me.
The only thing people were thinking was, that's not me. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And within a week, everyone's going to forget that he screamed at you in the lobby because he screamed at 17 other people between that time and then. So, and so that wasn't, it was the word he used. And that's all I wanted him to acknowledge was he used the wrong word. And so we go in and we start arguing, and it gets heated, and it gets heated to the point where I start getting mad, and I am so mad. I am like shaking, and I have my fists clenched, like sitting at his desk. I'm like leaned forward, and below the desk where he can't see me, I have my fist clenched so tight. I'm like shaking. And I'm like digging my nails into my hand because I'm trying to take the focus off the fact that I'm so mad I'm going to cry right now. So I'm trying to dig my nails into my hand so I don't cry.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to cry in front of him. But I am so mad. It's like, I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm not crying because I'm emotional. I'm crying because my emotions have to come out somehow. And if they don't come out in water from my eyes, they're going to come out as like my fist across your face.
Yeah.
Like that's how I'm feeling right now. And so I'm getting upset. And at this point, he knows I don't cry from hurt feelings. Yeah. He knows I cry because I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, so I've made you mad. I've made you upset. And I said, damn right I'm mad. And I have like just like these tears coming down. I'm not like full blown sobbing at this point, but I am like, I just have like single tears coming down, you know? And I'm like, damn right I'm mad. And I let loose everything that I had pent up, all of this, everything that I had said to people over the course of the last few months. I left Barry out of it because I knew if I brought up his name that it would turn into a like, well, you just don't like him.
Yeah.
And so this has nothing to do with the fact that I called you inept. It has everything to do with the fact that you're not willing to give someone a chance and you're not willing to love them. And, you know, this says more about your faith if you can't love someone because, you know, by our love, people will know that we are Jesus's disciples. And so if you can't love Barry, how are people ever going to know, you know, all this stuff, right?
All that stuff. Yes.
So I didn't even mention Barry's name. I just went into anything about Come As You Are that I had said to someone that was a problem over the last like year. I just let it all out. So at this point, I am ugly crying. I am sobbing. And I am telling him, this is not the Come As You. We have lost our way. We've lost our way. And COVID, God sent COVID to show us that this is not the church that we're intended to be. We need to get back to who we were at our core. We need to go back to our fundamentals. And I like go on this rant and I'm sobbing about like how in basketball, if you don't do like dribbling drills and free throw drills, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter how amazing you are. Like if you don't have the fundamentals, you're going to lose, and we're losing. And we have to do our fundamental drills, and we've lost them. And this is not the church that we have fought so hard, and we've gone through sifting seasons, and we've lost people, and people have left because they're mad, and we have stood firm, and the storms of life have come, but our feet are planted on the rock, and we will withstand, and our church has withstood because this is who we are, and we're losing sight of that. And that is why God sent COVID to us. And we are going to, lose everything if we do not go back to this church that I fell in love with when I walked in and I was 15 years old and I was lost and I was saved here. I know God lives here because I have felt him and I've experienced him, and that is the church we need to get back to. And I'm like bawling hysterically telling him these things.
Give this woman a campaign trail.
And yeah, tell me again why I can't stand on a stage with a microphone. Shit. God. So
make Come As You Are great again.
We should have had red hats. We really should have. No, they would have been freaking maroon, like the color of the stupid wall. Oh my gosh. So I go on this huge rant, right? And he looks at me and he's like, I think God is using you to affirm what he's already showed me. And I'm like, I am not looking to affirm anything you said. I am looking for you to tell me that you should not have called me inept. And we need to pull our shit together. Like, that's what I want to hear from you right now. But no, God allowed me to get upset and to show emotion. Because it's hard for Amanda to show emotion other than bossy and angry. And so Amanda was allowed by God and the Holy Spirit within her, where 24 hours before he wasn't sure I had the Holy Spirit and I was inept. But now the Holy Spirit within me has allowed me to have emotions, to affirm in him what our fall campaign is going to be. Do you know what God revealed to him and affirmed to him
Yeah,
through
the
my
exact
emboldened speech. We are growing on purpose. Come as you are in 2020, the fall of 2020. We are growing on purpose. So everything we do needs to point back to, well, are we growing on purpose?
And you're not inept anymore because you just came up with the best plan ever.
Oh, I didn't come up with it. God revealed it to Tom, and God allowed my feminine hormones to affirm it.
If you can't hear the sarcasm dripping from Amanda's mouth right now,
Oh my gosh.
you know that man was in his office trying to figure out how he was going to save his church, and you walked in and handed it to him on a silver platter.
Here's the thing, though. In years past, because we've talked about these moments where I go and I confront Tom and I say something to him and he flips it, I accept it. And I'm so excited. It's going to be better. This is it. This is it. This is it.
He heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you felt valued and he heard you.
He heard me. Yeah.
Something was going to happen.
Yep. I didn't feel that at all this time.
Yeah.
I was like, that is not at all.
No, like you saw it for what it was. Like,
you don't get it.
You didn't apologize. You have no clue. And now you're talking to me about this fall campaign. What we're going to do. The next mission church. Like, what?
Yeah. You don't get it. You didn't listen to a word I said. Do you know what he did? He knew his fall campaign was going to be growing on purpose. Whether he got an email from Saddleback that said something about it, or maybe someone said something in the eldership training, or, it came across his desk somehow. So he latched onto this. We're growing on purpose because we have to grow the church. No one's tithing. No one's serving. It's after COVID. We got to rebuild this.
But also, like, that was the thread going around every church. Like, you've got it, like, this growing. Like, there's a season for growing in the church.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like there's always like an annual growing, but like it comes around often enough. Just like there's always like tithing season, there's fall campaigns, there's all these different things that come around in church culture over and over again. And growing is one of them. And so, it wouldn't surprise me at all that somewhere this growing on purpose. And wait, what on purpose? A purpose driven what?
Yeah.
Like on purpose. So come on, like.
Yeah. Our 5 purposes. Yeah.
5 purposes. We're going on purpose.
So I think he had this in his head. He didn't listen to a damn thing I said. When I started to get upset, he latched on to the one phrase I said of, this is not the church that I was saved in. And he's like, yeah, because we're going to grow on purpose. We got to get back to our purposes. And so there was no like, you know what, Amanda, you're right. We have lost sight of who we were. None of that. No. You half listened to what I said. You latched onto one phrase, and then you ignored me the rest of the time, waiting for a place to interject. This hysterical woman crying in your office. You waited for her to calm down enough so that you could be like, yes, I was right. Thank you for crying. You have proven I am right.
Yeah.
You may go now. So we're growing on purpose, apparently, and we're going back to our 5 purposes. And, so we have our fellowship and our worship and our discipleship and our outreach.
Worship.
Fellowship, worship, discipleship.
And then there's...
why can I never remember the 5th one? Fellowship, worship, discipleship, outreach. And...
There's something else.
There's something else. You know what? It doesn't matter because it's all bullshit anyway. So
is this the meeting where he talked to you about Topanga and
yeah, so in this meeting, you know, we're going to go back to our 5 purposes. We're going to start doing, you know, and he already has a plan. That's how I know he didn't really, you know,
listen to what you said?
Listen to what I said, because he already had a plan. So and I think some of it is he came up with it while I was crying. And so, you know, we're going to have SALT trainings. We're going to have, you know, not just quarterly. We're doing like monthly SALT trainings now. And we're going to get people trained up and, you know, all of this stuff. And at one point in my crying, I told him that Justin and I had gone to dinner with Corey and Topanga before they left. And that made him mad. I know he listened to that part because he instantly was like, what do you mean you went to dinner with them? They left, and starts just going in on, you know, they had to have things their way. And, you know, we can't just be all emotional all the time. And who wants to stay in this place where, you know, you care about your sin and they're so fast to point people's sin out and they want everyone to think about your sin. And we're free. We are free. So why would God save us and set us free from our sin if he just wants us to wallow in it and feel sorry about it all the time? And I'm like, no, that's not what we talked about with Corey and Topanga. Like, we were in the same place with them. We were grieved over this loss of this church that we had grown up in, that we were saved in, we were married in, we had kids in, we baptized our kids in, we were baptized in this church. Like, we had poured our lives into this place and we were grieving over the loss of it. And ultimately they decided it was too painful to stay and they had to go somewhere else. And, you know, Justin and I were like, we're going to fight for it. And so, you know, I was like, that's where we were with that. But I mean, that's probably the only thing he said to me other than like, oh, thank you for proving my point correct, was he did go off on a rant about how Corey and Topanga only wanted to focus on their sin and not on their freedom.
Which I think is so funny because, like, I was such a part of the worship team and that whole riff that happened where, yes, don't get me wrong, like when Melissa Etheridge was there and they wanted to do these long drawn out, like spirit-filled moments.
Yeah, we're going to raise our hand and we're going to cry and sway and sing the same part of the song 15 times.
Yeah, and you know, and I've been to churches where they allow that to happen and they even work it into where like have this time, you know, and like I've seen it well done and I've seen it not done well. And I've had good experiences and I've had bad experiences. And to say like at this time, my general consensus is like, I don't see necessarily anything wrong with the direction that they wanted to go per se. And this was something when I would have conversations with them or others about it, it was like, why is that not okay? Because like we've talked about, you know, like the value in like, it's not like wallowing and staying in that place and trying to live in that place, but it's being aware and accepting and acknowledging for a purpose of like, I want to grow past it. I don't want to make that mistake again, and I want to become a better person. Like there's two different thoughts. And Tom would always be like, even with like ministries like Celebrate Recovery, which, you know, had come and gone from the church at some point, and he would get on these soapboxes about it's just a bunch of people sitting around talking about how bad they are, right? And nobody's, you know, we're not moving forward or whatever. But I mean, and I feel like that's like his same thing with like, why would I go to therapy so I could talk about, you know, like, and it's like, well, why would you not talk about this stuff at least a little bit? Well, because you don't want to be confronted with it. You don't want to have to look and be aware of your sin or the things that you're doing, and you just want to live under like, well, I'm forgiven, so I could be as much of a jerk as I want to because I'm forgiven. I don't have to think about it again. Like,
well,
very interesting.
and so there's a new season of Shiny Happy People that have come out, and it's about Acquire the Fire, which started off as like this big movement for teenagers, like a big worship movement. And so I think that's a great conversation to have over on our Patreon, is just that, like, that concept, because I think, so someone had said, it was on TikTok, and it was like a reaction video to the new Shiny Happy People season. And this lady was saying, I went to Acquire the Fire concerts, and I didn't realize until I was an adult and I had the same emotional reaction at a secular concert that I did at an Acquire the Fire concert, that I realized this is not the Holy Spirit moving in me. This is just my emotional response to good music.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really good conversation to have, because I think that's why Tom threw the growing on purpose.
Yeah.
Everything is on purpose. We have to worship on purpose. We have to have worship that is purposeful and serves God in a specific way.
And I always thought it was so weird how he would be so against, but you're right, because he would be so against, we're not here to psychologically manipulate people. Like, he would when it came to music. And there were times that I would be like, but what you're doing is psychologically manipulating people, right? Like, I was during this time, I mean, even before this time, where I would be like, but isn't, and you know me, I'm always like, okay, to what degree is it okay to psychologically, like, everything you do as a public speaker is psychologically wait a minute, you're doing things that I don't understand.
We can use scripture to psychologically manipulate people, as long as it's not to music.
Right. No, that was legitimately, these were thoughts that I had when I attended from like the beginning of, these would be the types of things where I'd be like, so when is it okay? When is it not okay? Like, and I'd be like, okay, I never really come to any answers, but I would have these thoughts.
Yeah. So we have to worship in a specific way and not, emotionally manipulate people on, we're worshiping on purpose, but when we're evangelizing on purpose and we're performing our outreach purpose, I want to share the most dramatic and emotion invoking parts of my testimony, because how will people know how God saved me? How will people know what Jesus can do for you if you don't share those parts of your story? And so, I mean, how is that not an emotional manipulation? So I think that's a great conversation to have over on our Patreon this week. But we are going to grow on purpose as a church. And the first thing he decides, because I have a feeling through the eldership training, I have my suspicions. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the eldership and kind of things that we have found out that it went on in those trainings and such in some episodes coming up. So just kind of hold on to that. But my theory during this point in time is that some of this stuff was coming up in eldership training because you had men like Barry who had no idea what the hell they were doing, and they were just there to nod and be like, yes, Tom, that sounds great. We will. Yes, we agree. Then you had other people like Chimney who would be like, but what about this? Or, actually, that doesn't mean that. How about this? And you had men who actually knew their stuff. And the problem when you put it out there that we are going to have elders, and you call these men elders in training and you talk to them like, we are training you to be leaders, these men actually start to believe that they're going to be leaders and they start to behave as leaders. Which
Yeah.
most,
You
most
find out that you have all these men who actually are leaders.
yeah. So most people would be like, this is great. Look at all these leaders that we have. Tom doesn't want that. Tom wants to be the leader. He has to be the leader.
Yeah.
He doesn't want other leaders. He wants minions.
Yeah.
And so when he starts to have minions and leaders, so my theory is that something was said. So our first SALT training is on a Sunday afternoon, and he invites his daughter to come. Because his daughter was she freshly graduated from seminary, or did she,
Nope,
she
hadn't
was in
graduated
seminary?
from seminary yet. So she participated in like a parachurch organization for it's like geared towards college age people. And she worked for this company. So she's an adult working for this parachurch, and I'm going to say company, parachurch organization. And this organization, because she's very missions minded, she is very theological. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't talk. Theological minded, like going to seminary, like heading that direction. And so she was participating in this parachurch college organization. And she was working for them and putting on these huge college events. I don't know exactly, like their conferences. It's like a big conference, and it's for young Christian people to go, but it's like academic.
Yeah.
Nature. So, and it said because it's definitely for the college goer.
Yeah.
So she had been participating in that.
Yes. And she was so she's actively in seminary at this time, right?
But she didn't graduate for a while.
Okay. So she's actively in seminary. She just hasn't graduated yet.
Yes.
So he invites her to come because at these conferences, through this organization that she works for, she had learned this study technique for studying scripture. And then she kind of coupled that with some stuff she was learning in seminary. And so she came and taught us this way of studying scripture. So like,
she's a really good Bible teacher. She's a really good Bible teacher.
And that's the thing, is if it came down to it, she would preach circles around her father.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's why he was so threatened by her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was so good. But so she came and she did this SALT training, and Froggy came and learned from his sister. And I mean, we had a couple dozen people there, but this was so big. Tom had me record it. We'd never recorded SALT trainings. We had done one right before COVID, right before, everyone got mad at left. I think Becky was still at the church, the gal who liked to share the gospel all the time. One of our SALT training, I mean, we did some lame stuff over the years. One of them was he took cassette tapes from like 1997 of Rick Warren's teaching. And I'm pretty sure they were cassette tapes that came in his How to Build a Church kit. And we all sat in the sanctuary and listened to cassette tapes of Rick Warren speaking.
Wow.
And then had to have discussion about it. Like, I mean, we did some really...
Well, that's like old, because when I went to California to do that training, the one that came in the kit was videotapes. And we did those as a training once too.
Oh, yeah.
To
So
get the whole church back on, like, to get the whole church back on, we are unified. This is our vision. This is what we're doing. Because this Amanda's idea to make Come As You Are Great Again wasn't the first time we needed to get back to who we are.
No, we've been trying to make it great for 10 damn years.
And yeah, like, that's crazy. Like, the cassette tapes, like, that's dating it, like, right there. But yeah, we had to do the videos. Because after the trip to California, when we did them, like, he had never done it with the church. And then he decided we needed to do it with the whole church because we had to get the whole church back on. Everybody just needs, it's easier for you all to just watch it from Rick Warren than for me to try to teach it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You all need to be on the same page and know how we're going to do this church thing.
Yeah. And the only reason I know it was cassette tapes was because we had to go and get the boom boxes from the children's ministry department.
I'm not fair for that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So his daughter comes and she teaches assault training, and he has me record it and put it out there on like YouTube and on our Facebook and all of this kind of stuff because he wanted the whole church to see it. And he even talked in that training that, I'm going to start using some of these things in my sermon notes. He never did because he wasn't going to change. All of his sermon notes were in a template that he got in 1998. And so why would he change that? And so
no, he had an agenda, and this was all done. Like, this was so calculated and so manipulative doing all of this. Like, and there were so many different motives for doing this. And one of them is, it's all manipulation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to act like I'm going to do it. And then I'm really not. So you'll all do it because I said I was going to do it. And I think about you talking about it's just, this is where, when I said in the mini episode that, like, you can't ignore how disgusting some of this is, and the fact that I have a hard time going to this place and going against my thinking the best of everybody to get to the place of understanding that you sat in an office with this man and said, this is not the church I grew up in. It's not the church I first came to. We need to get back to that. We've lost our way. Make Come As You Are great again. And he goes and gets your youth leader, his daughter, brings back the old school. Like, she doesn't go to the church. She doesn't participate in anything Come As You Are. She's flat out said, I'm not coming back to this church to fill your shoes. It's not happening. This is not how I do church. Like, this is a thing. They have discussions about it. Like, and it is one of those, in families where there's just issues that you just agree to disagree. And this is one of them. They don't agree on how to do church. They don't agree on pastorship. They don't agree on a lot of things when it comes down to it. But we need to have our guest speaker, who's also a very influential member of your life at that young age when you first came to the church, up on the stage.
Which is funny because
that's not manipulation.
I never thought of it from that perspective, but that makes complete sense.
Yeah. We have to go back. How do you go back? I got to bring enough of the stuff from going back.
And you know what? In my crying, emboldened rant I said it was your daughter caring to ask me how I was doing. Like, I brought her up.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he did it on purpose.
On stage?
This is, okay, if you haven't listened to our mini episode we put out on Sunday, you have to, because we talked about this, like, healing journey we've gone on. And here we are in the last chapter, and I still am coming to this realization, like, that son of a bitch did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Okay. So, yeah. So she comes, she teaches it.
Under the guise of, he was probably like, Because in his mind, like, put yourself in his shoes. In his mind, he's like, how can I make this happen? And he truly believes that God laid it on his heart to orchestrate these things. And he will, till his dying breath, defend himself that he is following God. He hears from God. Everybody else is wrong, and he is confident in his ability to hear from God and these things that God tells him. And at the end of the day, it's his own ego.
Yeah.
It's just a damn good idea. It's manipulation 101. And I mean, and if we haven't proven that yet, like, and not that I'm out to like prove it, and this is the weird part where I want to be so emboldened to say things, and you still have weird guilt that comes up. Like, can I say that? Yeah, I could say it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's not okay. These things are not okay.
Yeah.
And we have built entire church organizations and harmed people because somebody with certain leadership skills and the ability to do certain things says that they hear from God, and they're just really good at manipulating people.
Yeah.
And they have other people who are good at manipulating people to get their backs. And they have a box that says this is how you do church, and they can do whatever they want within that, guidelines. I don't think that the how to do church in 3 easy steps is a tool designed to manipulate and hurt people. But I think in the hands of somebody who manipulates and hurts people,
yeah,
that's a dangerous tool.
Yeah.
Because church is good business.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And I mean, it's just like what we brought up on, one of the last episodes, last chapter was, if Tom was a businessman, we wouldn't be having this podcast.
Right.
You
might write a bad Google review, go about our business, whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of Google reviews, like, what is it that you have to do to get Google reviews, like, removed? Like, because I know people have written bad Google reviews.
Oh.
You know what I mean? But they get gone awfully quick if they come up about, like, that's some good PR. Because I don't know. I was just here like, because I said that, like, if he was a businessman, like, yeah, a couple bad Google reviews, we'd all move on with our lives. We wouldn't have had a podcast about it.
I think we brought that up on the podcast before. If we didn't on the podcast, I know we did on Patreon. We've had this conversation that they got a bad review. Someone
right?
called Tom out. Yeah.
Somebody very blatantly wrote a review outing the things that personally happened in their life.
Yeah, because we even were like, we called some people and we were like, was that you? And they were like, no, I thought that was you.
I have some screenshots of it, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But no, yeah, we've talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah. So I mean, like, but yeah, so no, it is not a coincidence. It is not.
No, he did it on purpose. You are 100% right.
Yeah.
He picked her to come and lead this. And he probably made me record it because I needed to get the information, but I have showed I am zealous and I will go all in and I am here for it. And he doesn't need me to be all in for it. I need to have the information, but had I sat there and actually been able to learn it and focus only on learning, I could have been problematic for him. But if I got the information, but I was also sidetracked with making sure I was recording it well and getting good audio and good video and all of these things, then I wasn't quite so dangerous with that information.
Yeah.
And so I record it, we put it out there, and then within a couple weeks, we're announcing to the church, hey, we're growing on purpose. This is what we're doing, and we are making a shift. Thursday nights, it has been Barry, which Barry will still be preaching because he is still, he's still training. Tom admitted he is training. but, we're going to open it up, and, we're going to have master life classes and next step classes. And Tom even tried to do like a come ask a pastor. And so, you can go and sit and listen to Barry's.
That's what the Easter flyer was that we showed on Patreon.
Yeah. And I don't think it was ask
I
a pastor.
remember that. It was just like that though. That's hilarious.
Essentially it was
No, it was like the same topics as what was on that. Like it was like the same thing.
Yeah.
I forgot about that until you said it.
If you wanted to talk to a pastor, and I think this was like Tom's way of getting out of like having people come into his office and bother him during the week.
Yeah.
Like he's doing his own thing. Don't come bother him to come talk to him about something. Just wait till Thursday night. And then you could, you're struggling at work, husband. Well, send your wife to one of the women's studies because we don't give two shits what the women are learning. As long as it's within the, as long as we got it from Lifeway and it has a Baptist background, they're probably fine. So send her to go and learn about one of the ridiculous things that the women are learning about. Send your kids to youth and to children's, and, they'll learn about Noah and all that stuff. And then you can come sit and, hang out with Tom, because I honestly think, like, this is the vibe I got from Tom. He didn't like sitting through Barry's sermons either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barry's sermons were painful. And so this was the shift we were making on Thursday nights. And then once a month, we would not have a service. We would do a SALT training or, something of the sort. Because one of the arguments that was being made was not just by me, but now other people are bringing it up of Barry's not learning from anyone. He's not coming to Bible studies. He's showing up on a Sunday morning, but he's not going above and beyond to learn.
Well, right. And people are bringing up that he hasn't done all the things that have been required of that.
Yeah.
Like this man
rubbed Master Life
people the wrong way so much that all the people we find out who have never rocked the boat in their entire life are now like, hold on a second. You've been holding me accountable to checkboxing that I took next step classes, that I took Master Life, that I've done this and I've done this. And you have this guy preaching on stage. He's not any good. Yeah. I don't like him, for whatever reason, XYZ. It's not even none of it personal, not personally. You're just like, this is what is going, like, that's how, like, you have to just understand how
unlikable he was.
Out of context this man was to be preaching, be given a Thursday night service to be preaching on Thursdays. Like, and how blatantly obvious it was that, like, there's another reason that he's up there. Like, even though we couldn't have verbalized that then.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just us. It was enough people and everybody. Like, things were being said. Feathers were being ruffled because it didn't make any sense to anybody.
Yeah.
There was no reason for him to be on stage. There was no reason for no reason. And so you got to understand that as we go forward, is that, like, that's just how outside of the box it was that Tom was being so adamant that Barry was going to preach on Thursdays and backing him up, because that wasn't like him.
Yeah.
Because people were comparing Barry to, like, qualities of other people that Tom had talked crap about and, like, shut down or kicked out of the church because he was like, you're not going anywhere in this. And so if Barry had people be like, you told this guy he couldn't do it, but you're saying it's okay for Barry. Like, that's how, like, I just want to iterate that at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And then to say we had to have next step classes and Master Life and all these things all of a sudden.
Well, and that's the thing, is because I don't think Tom liked listening to Barry's sermons. I think Tom realized just how painful they were himself, because he would find any excuse to not sit there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's, I mean,
And that's not like him.
No, he sat for every single person who did a thing. He sat there
Yeah.
for them.
And then even if he did, I'd be like, well, didn't you hear him say this? No, I didn't hear him say that.
Yeah. And so he would zone out and he would, yeah. And then he eventually got to the point where he's like, I'm going to do my own thing out in the lobby. And yeah. But publicly, he defended Barry. And he's just learning and he's still training and, he's growing. I wasn't the best preacher if you can believe it, I was not the best preacher in the beginning. But he didn't say we were doing all of this for Barry.
No,
he said we're doing all of this for the men in eldership training. And we get to the point where we as a church body start talking about the eldership training is, getting close to concluding. These men who are going through this training are going to potentially be our elders.
Yeah.
So who are these men?
Burning Butterflies is a listener-supported podcast. Today's episode was brought to you by our amazing supporters on Patreon.
Follow the link in our show notes to learn how you can become a Patreon supporter too. Supporters get exclusive access to bonus content each month, including outtakes, cut content, and supporter-only episodes. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on your listening platform.
Burning Butterflies is a production of Asha Media. Thank you for listening.